Hey y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love, how was your week?
Listen, my weekend was good. You know, I'm still healing. I'm still raw from the election results. So I'm very sensitive right now. So I just spent time with my friends and got some work done and just kind of centered myself. So my weekend was good and fulfilling in that way. How was your weekend? How was Liberty's weekend?
Well, you know, Liberty lives a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Candy, you know, full of deliciousness and formula and rest
and hugs and kisses,
yes, and coos and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
My weekend was great as well. Little bit of relaxation. I did a lot of binge watching this weekend. So we're of course going to spend some time here today on today's episode going into the Shyne of it all. I know like many folks, we were able to really enjoy the Hulu documentary, The Honorable Shyne. And I gotta tell you, Justin, I woke up Saturday morning and I ran to watch it because I had a dream. I swear to you, I had a dream because I had seen the breaking news Friday of Puff's legal team sending a cease and desist as it relates to the Honorable Shyne documentary. And we're going to talk about that on the episode. But I kid you not, I got nervous that they were going to the documentary. I really did.
You had to watch it while you could.
And I said, let me go watch this while I can. Yeah, I really did. I had some urgency to it. So I watched that. And I also spent almost 2 full hours watching Carlos King's interview with Lisa Ray.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed myself. I have to tell you.
I did too. Mm-hmm. I did too. And we'll discuss.
Yeah. We'll discuss. Yes. Yeah. But on today's episode, we're going to get into the Shyne of it all. I had many people, Dustin, texting me asking for this legal breakdown because people were getting some elements of what went down legally with the Shyne of it all, but not others. So we want to go through that and connect some of those dots. We also want to talk about the fact that, yes, indeed, it wasn't just a dream. Puff's legal team has issued this cease and desist as it relates to the documentary. But I want to talk about exactly what he's asking. He actually was not asking for the documentary. Puff's legal team was not asking for the documentary, Dustin, to be removed as much as it's basically giving speak real specific like moving forward on this tour. Again, we'll get into it. Then, of course, I'm really a big fan, Dustin, of the apology or the correction needs to be as loud as the controversy, right?
Me too. Yes,
always, right. So for that reason and that reason alone, we must discuss the dismissal of Jonathan Major's ex-girlfriend's lawsuit against him. As well as the overturning by the Illinois State Supreme Court of Jussie Smollett's previous conviction in the Chicago.
Wonderful. Yes.
Very much so. And I know Jussie's a personal friend of yours.
Yes, he is.
We really just need to name all the pieces because when we name the conviction, we must name the overturning. Okay, so starting, Dustin, I don't want to take for granted. Did you see the documentary? Have you seen this Shyne documentary yet?
Now, I told you what I did this weekend, right? So I started watching the Shyne documentary, but we did not complete it. I think I made about 10 minutes in and company came by and I just got completely distracted. So
and then it became a Friendsgiving situation. I understand.
Yes. Impromptu, nonetheless, but yes.
Well, I think you're really going to enjoy it. Let me start with that. And I think you're going to get lots of different pieces from it. It's very thorough. And let's just go back in time, jurors, depending on, where you were when this happened. We're talking about 1999 was when the club shooting happened here in Manhattan that ultimately led to Shyne's conviction. The trial took place 2 years later and he went away. He went away from the year 2001. It was not released essentially until 2008. going into 2009. So he ended up doing an 8.5-year bid in federal time. And it was a lot going on. So let's start with this. A lot of people want to know this, Dustin. Did Shyne do it? And the answer to that is maybe. So let's go into what he was convicted of. Okay, so the night of the club incident, you're talking about, again, a 1999 Manhattan club. J-Lo was there with Puff, so they were a couple at that time. Shyne was a newly signed Bad Boy artist, riding high on the peak of the song Bad Boys, was doing great, climbing the charts. The album had not even been released yet at this time. And this was all just like, he was the biggest thing. Puff was a huge deal. And then they were accompanied by a third gentleman known as Wave, who was a bodyguard of sorts to Puff, but also just kind of like one of those dudes around. And I'm going to get into some more details of his prior criminal past in a minute, because I think it absolutely is relevant to what ultimately goes down for Shyne. So 3 of those, Puff, Shyne, and Wave, go to this nightclub. Puff gets into it allegedly with some guy named Scar. Words were exchanged. Weapons come out. Okay. Now, per Shyne's accounting of this, he says many weapons comes out. And to this day, I'm telling this a very specific way, y'all, because this is kind of the way Shyne tells it in the documentary. And throughout, ever since it happened, he's told it this way. And this is important. Yes, because he's standing on his integrity, in that Shyne himself to this day has never said Puff had a gun too and I saw him and he shot the victim. He's not said that. He's saying we all were carrying. When the guns came out on the other side, keep in mind, jurors, if you don't know, this is well documented in the documentary. Shyne was actually shot at 15 years old in Brooklyn, New York. And he basically says after that point, he basically carries more or less. So he does not, these things are not hypothetical for him, is what I'm saying.
Right. It's a part of his reality.
It's his actual reality. Yeah. So he's like, he doesn't take that whole shoot.
Gangster posture.
Yeah. It's just different for him. So he said, with that said, once he saw the weapons on the other side from Scar and his guys, he pulled his weapon out and said, he had 2 guns on him that night, by the way. And foundational law, any gun possession in New York City is illegal, period. Like it just is. You get automatic 5 years most of the time when you're caught in possession of a firearm.
New York is one of the worst places in the country to get into some gun-related shit.
Quite literally. Quite
one of the places. Yeah, one of the worst states, I should say.
Yeah, please stay in Texas. Stay in Texas, stay in Florida. Yeah.
All down there.
Don't bring firearms to New York. It's not going to be a good situation. So anyways, Shyne was carrying 2 firearms that night.
Damn, Shyne.
Yeah, he said it. So he's carrying 2. We're led to believe that Puff at least is carrying 1, and then Wave has something. Okay. All this comes out. This is a dark nightclub, y'all. People are drinking. People are intoxicated. It's 2:30 in the morning. The guns come out. 3 people get shot. Okay. Or 3 people are injured, rather, because, ricochet, bullets are ricocheting. There's 3 people that are ultimately injured, including Natanya Rubin. We're going to remember that name. I'm going to come back to her in a minute. She was the most injured, because one of the bullets ricocheted off or something and disfigured her face. She actually got struck by a bullet in the nose, in the face. And so she really, had some severe trauma and some severe injury. Now, we see this in the video, in the documentary, Dustin, see her at various points, starting in the beginning. She has always contended that it was Sean Combs that injured her. Now, let's one thing about that. It is absolutely possibly true that this woman was able to identify her shooter. I will never take that away from her. I couldn't. But I want to also raise some other facts. I want to raise the fact that it's dark. I want to raise the fact that it's a nightclub. I want to raise the fact that it's a lot going on. I also want to raise the fact that, what? Even if I didn't see exactly where the bullet came from, if I had to choose and take a guess, I'm going to probably say the billionaire did it. I'm probably going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is important because this is the lens, y'all, that the jury is having to contend with, the actual jury on the case, okay, and the judge. So she's injured. 2 other people are injured. 3 people are injured. Everybody leaves the club, obviously, when the shooting goes down. Everyone scatters. J-Lo and Puff are in some Lincoln Navigator, which was big at the time. They get away. Wade gets away. Shyne ultimately is caught. And this is the part that's really bad for him. For some reason, he was still carrying his weapon. His weapon was actually found on him. So this is a real problem, right? This is a real problem because there was no, yeah. They say in the documentary, they forgot the best part of The Godfather when they say, drop the gun, keep the cannoli. Possession is 9/10 of the law. That's something they teach us the first year in law school. And that goes in everything. Yep. Possession is 9/10 of the law. He or she who is in possession, puts themselves in a precarious situation. Now, sometimes that possession could be good. If you're trying to adversely possess a house and you're in possession, that's going to work to your favor. But in the facts of this vein, that possession piece is lethal, literally. So Shyne is caught with the gun. But he's saying he was shooting in self-defense. So that's why I say, did he do it? I believe the argument of self-defense. I believe that he felt his life was in peril. I believe that he legitimately fired his weapon under that premise. What he was ultimately convicted, y'all, was of recklessness, okay? And this is very important because I do understand the conviction in this regard. So he was never accused, Dustin, of intentionally trying to harm anybody that night, which he wasn't. This was, he was afraid for his life, at this point,
Right.
It's a danger.
Like anyone would have been.
Yes, everybody would have been. The issue is because it's a public setting, and because there's such likelihood of innocent bystanders being harmed, that's where the recklessness piece comes in. Okay, reckless endangerment. If this had happened in someone's home and they pulled their guns out and we pulled our guns out and we start shooting, that's self-defense. There would be no charge. But because it's public and innocent people not involved could get hurt and did get hurt, it's reckless at that point.
Okay. Makes sense.
That makes sense, right? Okay. So Puff also was charged originally with gun possession and bribery, and Wave was also charged. The issue was this. Wave was already a 2-time felon. So had Wave been convicted of this, even simple possession at this point, he would have probably gotten a 25 to life sentence because that would have been his 3rd felony conviction. There were powerful people that were going to make sure that didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Puff, let's just get to him. Again, this is peak bad boy era. Peak. A lot of millions, some billions even at stake. There were a lot of interests that said Puff was not going to be the one to go to jail. So that leaves Shyne. That leaves Shyne holding the bag, so to speak. And quite literally, since he was holding the gun, it became a real problem. Now, what do I believe, y'all? I don't believe that anybody could really say where the bullet fragment came from. It's also true, a fact, is that the young woman who was disfigured, the fragments that shattered her face, they were not extracted. And so there was no forensic tracing. So that's the only way we would really know, y'all. They would have had to remove the bullets from the injured parties and then trace them back to specific weapons held by Shyne, Puff, and Wade. That didn't happen. They did not extract bullets, and they did no forensic tracing. So absent that type of real forensic evidence, who's to say is the answer? Who's to say? We don't know who shot what, landed here and hurt who. We really don't. And so in that respect, I believe this was an improper ruling. I think this was an improper conviction against Shyne. I think that at best, it's unfortunate. People got hurt. That's a terrible thing. But to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that it was Shyne specifically that did it, to the absolute exclusion of the 2 other defendants, I think legally that was right. Now, so then one could say, well, how did it happen? Well, now this is where it gets real dirty. The allegations go, and many of y'all have already known this, but it's really laid out in quite detailed form in the documentary. Puff, first of all, I didn't know that Johnny Cochran was on Puff's legal defense team until I saw the documentary, but he absolutely was. Yes.
Okay.
Johnny was on and brother Johnny didn't really practice in New York. He's a West Coast guy. He's an LA guy, but Johnny Cochran, he is the guy. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you see all of this footage in the documentary, y'all. It's fascinating. So with Johnny Cochran as one of the lead lawyers on Puff's team, also some other people, some other bigwigs, the story goes that Puff at this point is paying witnesses to get on the stand and say it was Shyne. We saw him pull his gun, shoot in this direction, and it was his bullet that hit the victim. That's what was done. And the allegations amongst the streets and the parties is that this was all like done at the bequest of Sean Combs. And he was paying people to do this. He was paying people $50,000 bags, whatever, offering things to get up there and throw the case. It is also announced in the documentary that Sean Combs was actually paying the lawyers that were defending Shyne. See, that's what Liberty getting real on.
Yeah, that was the biggest injustice in her little eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is some serious.
Throw the case. Yes. It's crazy, y'all, because you see these lawyers actually sitting up here in this documentary, and I'm thinking, what the hell? I wish the fuck I would sit up in a documentary after even the suspicion that I'm unethical and so dirty as to throw my own client's case. That's what you get disbarred for, and worse, you know. But anyways, that's the narrative, Dustin, is that Shyne was set up in the biggest way, that witnesses were paid to testify against him, and that his own legal team was bought off by Puff to not launch a staunch defense for him so that he ultimately would get convicted. Because let's be clear, somebody was going to jail. Okay. That woman was defaced at the time. She's gotten surgery and looks much better now. But, you know, it was a severe injury. And then 2 other people were injured in a New York City where we're supposed to have some of the toughest gun laws in the land.
Right.
So somebody had to pay for that. Let's be clear. And again, Wave, 2-time felon already, gonna get 25 to life if you go down for it. Puff's the $1 billion guy. He's not going to go down for it. That leaves the up and coming Shyne.
Damn.
Young guy, 19 years old. No real record at that point to speak of. I don't think he had any convictions. So, you know, that was it. Now, also important to know, jurors, he was offered a deal. The prosecution offered Shyne the deal because this is how prosecutors do. They want the big fish. We all have seen all the movies. So Shyne's small peanuts to them. Who do they want? They want Sean Combs.
Diddy. Yeah.
Yeah, they want Sean Combs. And they say to Shyne, listen, if you testify that, you know, you more or less believe it was Puff's actions that led, first of all, that Puff started it. So that would be the first thing that they want, you know, to be testified to. That all of this was the fallout of a violent interaction that started because of Sean Combs. If you could testify to that, we'll give you immunity. We'll let you walk. You won't serve a day. And Shyne declined it. He said, I'm not going to do it. Whether he did or didn't, I'm not the one to say. And I'm not going to say. So if you want to give me a deal, great. We'll look at it. But I'm not snitching. I'm not cooperating. And that's it. And that's all. So he wrote it. He stood on it. He was convicted of, like I said, the assault and the reckless endangerment. And he was sentenced to 10 years, which for federal time at that time, it meant he was going to serve every bit of 8.5 years.
He did. Hey, Eboni, don't you remember? You remember that time period. You remember, it's no secret, I love rap music. I've always loved everything about it and the culture connected to it. So I remember vividly how promising Shyne was as an artist. I remember the splash that song Bad Boys made, and several other tracks that he had on his, and he featured on. And I remember the devastation when this situation went down. I remember Jennifer Lopez trying to distance herself from it as much as she could.
You know, she went and made in Manhattan and been white since.
White since. She took that bandana. She was in the car,
literally
untying that rhinestone bandana from around her head and throwing it out onto 8th Avenue.
Literally.
As she left the club because those black days were over for her.
They were done. And they say that her mother was actually down at the precinct, cussing her out in Spanish and basically saying, I told you to leave them Negroes alone, period.
See, I would not doubt it.
And I believe it. It absolutely makes sense and it tracks. And there were rumors, you know, again, you know, we don't do too much of that speculation here on Holding Court, but y'all remember what people were saying. People were saying that one of the reasons Puff wasn't found with the gun is that J-Lo had the gun. Is that he handed it off. He handed his piece off to her. Well, you know, whether he did or didn't, the point is he wasn't in possession of it.
Right.
That created an opportunity for him to have a real defense. And that just wasn't even on the table in the same way for Shyne. And that's an important legal fact for people that are, you know, maybe still a little bit like, well, damn, you know, why just Shyne? Well, it was a few things. But, you know, do I believe witnesses were paid off? Absolutely.
100%. And another thing, to Shyne's credit, even at that time, and especially in interviews post his release, Shyne is smart, and he presents himself as
highly intelligent.
He's very, very intelligent. So it is, you kind of get sucked into him retelling these stories and these events in a way that you're not looking for a hole in the story. You're just taking it at face value because it really does come off as true.
He's very credible. He's very credible. He's very credible.
You know? So when you hear stories like that, you want to hear some sort of redemption on the other side of what is really the most unfair experience a person can have, brother, which would be being jailed and framed essentially for a crime that you did not really commit, which is what we are saying. So I don't know. I want to see Shyne win. I know he's done things and go.
He's winning now.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. So he's currently the leader of the opposition party, the political party in Belize. He's currently running for prime minister.
Yeah.
Like he's going to probably have an overwhelming victory, I have to imagine. His father, and I didn't know any of his background about his family. His father was the prime minister for many terms. His uncle led the country, you know, so he comes from a very prestigious political family. It's a beautiful redemption story, Dustin. I mean, this man is doing fantastic. He's really leading the community. And you can really just tell this is really his calling. And he really breaks this down quite nicely in the doc as well. You know, the same energy, the same gift that he was putting into his rhymes as a rapper, he basically uses that as a transferable skill set into his political speeches, you know, so he's still using his gift. He's still orating, but he's also leading in policy and impactful ways. So it's really beautiful. But I just went to kind of break down some of those legal parts, you know, what plea deal was offered to Shyne that he turned down, why he ended up doing such a long stint in prison. And that is because of the nature of gun charges in New York City. Even though he was a first-time offender, they're just so severe. And it's like you say, some of the most severe legal penalties of gun possession in the entire United States. And it's designed that way. It's designed that way.
You know, also forget, it's been so much time and so much shit has happened in the world that you forget these details, connect these cases that have impacted these people's lives so greatly, right? You forget all of these little moving pieces that got Shyne into the position he was in. You forget the connection. So I'm really glad.
The Cochran piece. I mean, hello.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I mean, when you pull out the literal big gun, the Johnny Cochran as your lead counsel on your legal defense team, I mean, it's not going to look good for Shyne at that point. It's really not. I mean, this is a setup for failure. So, yeah. And so, of course, Shyne's asked about the recent charges against Sean Combs, and you know, he still stands on it. I mean, he still doesn't rat him out. Actually, he really doesn't. He says, I know what happened that night. Sean Combs knows what happened that night. The victim, they know what happened that night. And we're going to leave it there. He's going to leave it there. Now, he has said, and this, I'm going to say this little raw piece and I'm going to button this up. We're going to move on. What he did say, though, Dustin, was as much as he has done prayer and healing, he converted to an Orthodox Jew. He had a 2-year sabbatical rather in Israel. He's done a lot of things to heal and move on from this. And he says essentially, and he said this on Tamron Hall, I moved on and I healed. I didn't see him shooting, but I know that he made me take the fall. I know that he called witnesses to testify against me. And then he also said in the documentary, he says that he had kind of gotten to a better place with it in terms of forgiveness to Puff. But then the Lil Rod lawsuit comes out this year. And the Lil Rod lawsuit, Lil Rod alleges in the complaint in black and white, we see it, that Puff was literally bragging, admitting, confessing to doing the shooting in the club, and bragging on making Shyne be the fall guy for it. And Shyne's like, that's a different level. Like it's one thing if it went down and you were just bending for yourself and yada, yada, yada. But to now hear that you are literally showboating and bragging and using this as some type of statement of pride, that I did 8.5 years of prison time off the strength of standing in the integrity of protecting you in the streets and all this bullshit. Oh, nigga, no. Like basically, like it's
yeah.
Now it's a bridge too far. And he also cites the Nas lyric. So Sean's funny. Like you said, Sean's real intelligent and he's real savvy. He's very media savvy. Nowhere can you get him to say, I saw Sean Combs do it. He never does say that. But he says everything else. He says, listen to Nas. He says Nas lyrics in the Lost tapes say, I don't like the way P. Diddy did Shyne with different lawyers. Like that's a Nas lyric. So Shyne's like, let the facts speak for themselves.
Yeah, this is a lot. Because now the conversation moves to the legitimacy of the claims that Little Rod is making, right? And we know there's been a lot of questions surrounding the Little Rod accusations, and him bringing Shyne into his accusations against Diddy can be perceived as suspect. You know what I mean? Because that's a completely different set of feelings that people who are looking at this thing have. It's two totally different situations for some.
Oh, they're different, but Shyne, yeah. But I think that people would say, or at least Shyne kind of makes this argument himself. If in Lil Rod's lawsuit, he's looking to establish a pattern of behavior, because that's why one could argue it has some legitimacy. It's trying to frame a pattern of behavior of the defendant, Sean Combs, as a liar, dangerous, and beyond problematic and unlawful. And so he's bringing in several things. I agree that don't seem to be correlated directly, but because he also brings in the Lil Rod lawsuit, brings in the drug mule, the white boy, who was ultimately found and arrested carrying cocaine. Yeah. So
if I would have some of my cousins from Belize whoop Lil Rod ass personally, because don't be giving me. I don't want touching me. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that, but at least from what I let's revisit it after you see the doc.
Okay. Maybe I'm just. Because
at least the way I construed it, Shyne didn't seem to be having a problem with Lil Rod. His problem is, you're giving me new information. You're giving me information that I didn't know, and I need to know, quite frankly. If indeed this Negro is out here outside bragging and boasting because I was locked up for almost 10 years behind him,
that's a problem.
That's a problem, and I need to know about it.
Right.
That's a real problem. And Shyne also says, well, he was actually doing some lawyering himself. He says, well, Lil Rod alleged the drug mule of it all, and then shortly thereafter, we see an arrest of the drug mule. Lil Rod wasn't lying about that part. So it tends to make me believe Lil Rod might not be lying about the Shyne piece. That's what Shyne said.
From Shyne himself. So who am I to argue? My problem with the Little Rod lawsuit.
But you wouldn't do that. Yeah, you would not do what Little Rod is doing. That's your problem with it. Yeah.
absolutely correct. And in addition to that, there was an allegation of a sex tape made, and there were screenshots from a gay porn movie that were not what they were supposed to be, which were screenshots of Diddy and somebody else or whatever. And they were a part of that lawsuit. And so that made me feel like the whole thing was just beyond question.
Yeah, tainted. Yeah.
You know? And so
yeah. I got you. I got you.
But that doesn't negate the fact that if this nigga was bragging about setting up Shyne, you know what I'm saying, and letting him be the fall guy, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and that was the part that Shyne chose to focus on, because that bolsters Shyne's argument this whole time. That's what he said. He said, y'all, I've been saying this. And he does it before. He said, I've been saying this, and the reason it wasn't heard before was because of the position. Because I was the up-and-comer, and he was the largest celebrity in hip-hop at that time. And now that the tide has shifted, now that he's fallen out of favor in such a remarkable way, y'all can hear it different now. So when Little Rod makes this suggestion in a 2024 lawsuit, y'all are hearing it different, but I've been saying it. That's what Shyne is saying. I've been saying it. Yeah, and it makes sense. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. Like you said, we were young at the time. I think I was a freshman in college, and treehouse.
You were very young,
dancing, just bad boy, dangerous, all that. Oh my God, it was just such an awesome vibe and moment and all of that. And also being so young and dumb myself at the time, thinking that was in a way cool, if that makes any sense. Like, yo, he a real one. He a real one. Like he locked up right now. Like damn. All some dumb shit. But you know what I mean. And now in retrospect, looking at the facts that led to that, and even the things that have happened since that. So, Shyne said when he ended up trying to have 2 reconciliation opportunities with Puff. One in 2012, he flew to Paris. They sat beside each other on Fashion Week, some shit or some fashion show. And he said, Puff, because people were like, Diddy, basically, has he offered you a bag or anything since you've been out? He said the man offered him $50,000. I don't know if he took it or not, but he said he was insulted. Yeah, very insulted. And after I watched the documentary on Hulu, I was so intrigued by all of this. I went and watched the entire Breakfast Club interview Shyne did last week. And he said that he thought about bringing a lawsuit against Sean Combs in the wake of all this. And he said it. He's like, if Cassie got 30 million, I should get 100 million. I did 10 years for him. Now we can, debate the merits of that. But the point is he understandably feels he should get cashed out too. But then he said something that made me really respect him. He said, but then I decided against it because I decided that when I went from broke in Brooklyn, sleeping on my auntie's couch with my mom and them, and the next day there was a bidding war between Def Jam and Interscope and Bad Boy, and I was a millionaire. The next day, I didn't go to God and say, why me? When I got my millions, I didn't say, oh God, why me? So I don't get to say, oh God, why me now? And I decided that I would look to my God for everything I need and trust that he would supply the abundance. And he has. And I was like, this is a real actualized man, or he's spitting some real game. Either way, it's landing.
I again, the depths and as far reaching as the impact of this is, it's a very, very serious matter. And that's why all these years later, we're still looking for some sort of accountability. We're still looking for somewhere to place the blame for this. And I just can't imagine being in that position where I've served a damn decade of my life in prison, and then a decade beyond my release, we're revisiting all these raw, very real pivotal points in my life. Like I can't even imagine. So,
and let's not forget the deportation piece, because Shyne, he did 10 years or 8.5 years on a 10-year bid, and then has been deported for the last 13 years. He's not, he will always be a felon in the United States of America. And I was talking, of course, debriefing with, shout out to Sora Natalie. Oh, we were debriefing, and she was like, yeah, since the deportation, that's crazy. So he'll never be able to come back. I said, oh, he'll never be able to come back unless, and this is going to get to our final piece here, he's pardoned. So that does remain the only legal remedy to this because he was convicted by a jury. Even if Puff came out right now and stood in Times Square and said, yeah, I shot the bitch. It was me. It wasn't never even Shyne. That would not undo it. You know what I mean? Cause Puff has been acquitted. He cannot be recharged for that crime. That's what double jeopardy is. Shyne could receive a presidential pardon, and that is the only legal real remedy that's available to him that would take the deportation piece off the table.
Right.
Which leads some people to start speculating around whether or not they believe Sean Combs, if convicted, big if, he's a long way from that, but if he indeed is convicted of any of the crimes that he's charged with in federal jurisdiction right now, would Donald Trump specifically be inclined to issue him a presidential pardon, as he has done for some hip-hop artists? What do you think?
I think that he will, more than likely, because it's a very easy play for him to make to garner some support from the people who will be influenced by that sort of information. It speaks to a certain group of people who will see that and then change their perspective or confirm their perspectives of Donald Trump. So it's a very easy play for him. I definitely foresee that being something that may happen because literally in this case, stranger things have happened. So yes, I believe he will do that.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. I can absolutely see it. I know Gene, who talks all the time and runs his mouth, it's like, oh, ain't no way they fell out of favor. And as the most recent relationship between Trump and Puff has not been favorable. And Puff was like,
let's talk about how sick of Gene Deal and Jaguar Wright and all these other miscellaneous ass fucking people that are so sick of them.
Yeah.
Where were you when all this, if it was so bad and if you were so fucked up behind the reprehensible things that you saw, where was all of this integrity and character and good nature back then? Help then. Why didn't you help then? And these allegations that people like Gene Deal and crazy ass, batshit crazy ass, white spirals going around in her pupils as Jaguar Wright. These accusations decades ago. Where were you then? I'm so tired of these people who are loud and wrong and attaching themselves to this situation that has had real life impact on people's lives. I'm so tired of them.
Yeah.
I hate all of them. I hate them and I hate people like them. Because if you're going to stand on some shit, stand on it when it counts. Don't wait until you can be like, oh, see, I told y'all when you ain't told us shit. Sorry for the rant, but I hate people like that. And I think you know that about me, Eboni. I hate
again, like that it's the low integrity, it's the low moving, it's the low vibrations. I know it irks Dustin's spirit, y'all. And I love the rant. It's very needed. But yeah, so if it, like you said, Dustin, I could totally see it for every reason you laid out. If it's favorable to a piece of, and no, Trump can't run again, so it's not so much that he needs the electorate, but, to curry favor for whatever else he does need or want or desire in certain spaces of especially the Black community and especially with amongst Black men in particular. Yeah, I could see a Puff pardon going a mighty long way. And just for clarification, yours, the reason that Trump would be in position to pardon Sean Combs is because he's being held in federal custody. Now, if this was New York State charges, Trump couldn't do anything for him. But he's in federal custody on federal charges, and with the stroke of a fucking pen, Trump can make it all go away. Again, this is if he is convicted. He has not been convicted of a single thing yet. We're just laying out, we're forecasting what could be down the road.
As most listeners know, I just recently became a mom to a sweet baby girl named Liberty. Now, it is an exciting new chapter of my life, and it's also a challenge to balance my busy schedule. And that's why I am so happy to tell y'all about Holding Court's new sponsor, Nanit. Now, Nanit Baby Monitor is the absolute best must-have baby product. This baby monitor allows you to see your baby from anywhere, anytime, all straight from the Nanit app. The high-def camera captures every precious little moment, and not only do I know that my baby's safe and sound, but I also never have to miss a milestone. And speaking of milestones, Nanit allows you to track your baby's breathing, sleep patterns, and you can receive personalized insights. Now, I'm totally using this as the ultimate baby book, but moreover, the data and the crystal clear video gives me peace of mind, and that adds up for more sleep for my baby and for me. The Nanit Baby Monitor really is the MVP of baby gear. It is the one baby item that I cannot live without. And of course, we have a special offer just for our listeners. Get 20% off your first order with code DREAM20. That's DREAM20 at nanit.com now. NANIT.com.
We're going to wrap up here. And like I said, it was very important that we touch these two stories before we take holiday break here on Holding Court, because we covered them when they were active cases.
Right.
When Jonathan Majors was ultimately convicted of simply two simple misdemeanors as it related to the incident with him and the white ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. And then she sued him as well in civil court. So this is her, trying to get some money, fiscal resource, which is her legal right. She brought that lawsuit, and she has now dropped that lawsuit. But this is important. She did not randomly decide out the kindness of her heart to simply drop the lawsuit. No. The lawsuit has been dropped with prejudice, meaning it will not be brought back because a settlement has been reached. This is the statement from Grace Jabari's attorney. Her attorney is Brittany Henderson. She told TMZ the following. Grace Jabari has exhibited tremendous courage throughout this very long and difficult process. Filed against Jonathan Majors has been favorably settled. Wink, wink. We hope that she can finally put this chapter behind her and move forward with her head held high. Because, so she got cashed out. Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot at all. But Jonathan Majors just frankly don't look like he's sitting on a lot. If we honest.
I'm gonna let you finish and then we're gonna get into all of it.
Hey, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go.
Well, so first of all, again, people that make these cash grab situations, I saw this for exactly what it was a long time ago, right? Beyond all of that, I actually thank her for bringing this lawsuit and starting all this shit, this hoopla around Jonathan Majors anyway, because I was buying it. I was buying the hype. I was excited for the right reasons about a black superstar thespian being thrust to the forefront and getting attention on such a large scale like that. I was really excited, but because of this situation with Grace, that transition into a situation with Megan Good, who I love dearly, I now know that I don't fucking like Jonathan Majors. You know what I'm saying? Him, Pony Express clothes,
the slave quarter jigs,
Ebony, the fetishizing of
Coretta Scott King,
all of that shit. I don't like the motherfucker, so I don't want him to not work, but I'm no longer, rallying behind him because I've seen some things that have made him less appealing to me. So for that, I thank Grace's ass. You know
what's so funny? I love this tape. First of all, because it's fucking hysterical. Second of all, it's quite nuanced. And I'm standing right there with you because when I saw this, and I think the culture's right there with you, Dustin, because normally with some shit, this is called vindication. Let's be clear.
That's what it is.
Vindication. This is, the lawsuit's been dropped. It was probably settled for 5 figures, maybe 25. I mean, literally, I really, really believe it was probably some nominal number. Because again, just about Jonathan Majors, normally, especially with a white woman, and we normally will throw a parade for a brother after some shit like this goes down. And yet we've been quiet as a church mouse, the whole culture.
Yeah.
Most of us didn't believe that he had done the things he was accused of in the first place.
Right.
But
it's
like, we just still don't fuck with you, period. Also, and not because we think you're a woman beater. We just don't fuck because of how you moving. Just your choices, what the fact that you picked this bitch in the first place, the fact that you were willing to lose so much around it. Most of us don't really like the way you've trotted out Megan, and I know she's a woman of her own free will and seems very happy, and God bless her. But we don't play about Megan Good. We don't play about Megan Good. Not clear if you playing with her or not, truth be told.
Exactly, and that's the problem. That's the problem. It's not clear. We were rooting for him. We were defending him.
Very talented actor. I'm sure he will work. So I'm not worried about that piece.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like being a cultural favorite, I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, no longer.
Thanks and good night to you. Bye-bye, Jonathan. But again, congratulations on your legal victory.
As most listeners know, I just recently became a mom to a sweet baby girl named Liberty. Now, it is an exciting new chapter of my life, and it's also a challenge to balance my busy schedule. And that's why I am so happy to tell y'all about Holding Court's new sponsor, Nanit. Now, Nanit Baby Monitor is the absolute best must-have baby product. This baby monitor allows you to see your baby from anywhere, anytime, all straight from the Nanit app. The high-def camera captures every precious little moment, and not only do I know that my baby's safe and sound, but I also never have to miss a milestone. And speaking of milestones, Nanit allows you to track your baby's breathing, sleep patterns, and you can receive personalized insights. Now, I'm totally using this as the ultimate baby book, but moreover, the data and the crystal clear video gives me peace of mind, and that adds up for more sleep for my baby and for me. The Nanit Baby Monitor really is the MVP of baby gear. It is the one baby item that I cannot live without. And of course, we have a special offer just for our listeners. Get 20% off your first order with code DREAM20. That's DREAM20 at nanit.com now. NANIT.com.
Now, last but not certainly never least, Jussie Smollett has absolutely been vindicated by the Illinois State Supreme Court here when they've overturned the conviction. And this is important for a lot of reasons, because a lot of people had a lot to say and put up a lot of jokes and all of this and all of that. And that's, whatever. The culture going to do what the culture does.
Comes with it.
But the legal piece here is important because this is the court of last resolve, Illinois State Supreme Court, and they're having the final say here because these are state charges. And they're saying, not on our watch. They're saying that the original piece, so let's fast track the timeline, jurors. We all know like the original, what he said and they said, and the African men and the brothers and all this shit. Okay, fine. Then at some point, Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx, y'all all know Sister Kim Foxx.
Yes, we do.
Offers Jussie a plea deal. Basically says, listen, I don't know what the fuck all this is, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this go away. I'm going to dismiss these charges. You're not going to have a conviction. But here's what you are going to do. You're going to do 16 hours of community service, and you're going to forfeit this $10,000 bail bond. So essentially, you're going to pay up to $10,000 restitution in act.
Mm-hmm.
And we all going to go the fuck home. That's what's going to happen. That's what Attorney Kim Foxx, Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx offered. And that was the deal. That's essentially what we call an unofficial deferred prosecution of sorts. Okay? Happens all the time. Let me reframe that. Let me say good progressive prosecutors with good sense and a reasonable understanding of justice.
Uh-huh.
Let me make sure I say that piece. That kind of prosecutor, which is why Black prosecutors matter. Thank you. And some good white ones. Shout out to Larry up in Philadelphia. When you get that kind of prosecutor, you can get a deal like this, which saves taxpayer dollars, and it gets an expedited, just outcome. So that was what was on the table. That's what Jussie Smollett and his legal team adhered to, and that should have been the end of it, because that's what a deal means. You do your part, we do our part, and everybody goes home. Well, instead, a secondary prosecutor comes in after Kim Foxx and brings the litigation all over again, charges him all over again, has a new trial. He's convicted this time. And, this is the thing. So now what Illinois State Supreme Court is saying, they're not even getting to the, quote, merits of the case. They're saying it should have never been another trial in the first place. It was a prosecutorial misconduct of sorts to even bring this shit back up, because the prosecutor's office made a deal and we're going to require them stand on business with the deal that they made and the deal that they executed. And that is the absolute right legal ruling. We saw this actually with Bill Cosby. This is why Bill Cosby's out right now, because that prosecutor's office reneged on a previous prosecutor's deal, which said basically, now I didn't think that was a good deal in the first place, but the deal was made. I wasn't the fucking prosecutor. Prosecutor said, Mr. Cosby, you bring you into this deposition, tell us the truth and nothing but the truth, and we will not hold any of it against you, no matter what you say. That's what the prosecutor said. So Bill Cosby started telling all the tea. And yeah, I did this and the drugs. And then the next prosecutor came behind him and said, well, I didn't make that deal, and used that very deposition confession to prosecute Bill Cosby. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, not on our watch. I do that.
Yeah.
When y'all prosecutors make these deals, we're going to make a stand over.
You gotta
yeah.
Well, hey, you know, it is what it is. It's no secret, like you said earlier, that Jussie is somebody that is in my life personally. So I'm happy to see him on the other side of that situation for now. And, you know, God bless everyone involved.
I will say this too, to button up the Jussie piece. This also, jurors, is a case study in why, what's one of the 48 laws of power? Plan to the end.
Plan to the motherfucking
The importance
end.
of planning to the end and staying the course of the judicial system. We say all the time here on Holding Court, the system is rigged, and it is. It's designed to work against you, especially those of us that look like us, and it is. And also, the system has mechanisms in place that if you are in position to avail yourself to them fully and thoroughly, type of outcome can be achieved. Is it always achieved? No. Is it always achieved when it should be achieved? No. But it is possible. And thank goodness for Jussie. He has the resources. He had the legal team. He had the bag. He had the ability to play this till the end. And that is why he is walking away with a clean criminal record right now.
Yeah.
Because some of y'all, you know, and I understand why you feel defeated. You know, you get convicted of, it could be small things. It could be big things, whatever it is. And you think that's the end of the story. No. Appeals matter.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Well, just take that one to the bank. Chew on that one with your Thanksgiving turkey and shit, y'all. For real. Because things are happening, whether it's child support this or whatever this or lien or whatever. Could be civil suit, law, criminal, don't matter. Appeals matter. Play it to the extent you can afford to. Maybe you need to do a little GoFundMe, a little pass the hat. Play your cards till the end.
Yeah, you have
really
to.
Because had he not, and he just ate it, then now he would have literally lived with that record for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was worth the fight to him. And so good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, that's a model case study of what can happen, what it could look like when you do. I will acknowledge, you know, being a celeb, having a bag, that helps a lot. Also, try to do whatever you can for you and yours so that you have your ability to play till the end.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the piece right there. Use that as a lesson. You know what I mean? And if you have a fight it to the end and plan to fight it to the end, just like you said. I'm surprised to say that. And also, before anyone even makes the notion, yes, I am biased. That is my friend.
Well,
you would feel the same way for your
that on the front end.
Yeah,
that's his personal feeling.
You feel that way about your friends, and if you my friend and don't feel that way about me, then get the hell away
far
from
away.
me. Okay, you should be right
behind me. Yeah, and that's. Listen, y'all, jurors, that's going to happen from time to time. Doesn't happen a lot on Holding Court, but from time to time, myself, Dustin, are going to have personal dealings, personal relationships. We are in this industry, obviously, with some of the folks that run across this docket. And we're not going to shy away from it.
We'll be honest about it.
Shy away from it. We're not. Yeah, I'm not going to not talk about what may or may not happen with the DJ envy of it all because I to the Breakfast Club on occasion. No, we're going to fucking talk about it. So that's it.
Right.
That's a little tease for 2025, by the way. You know what? Love y'all down. Enjoy the canned cranberry sauce of it all. I already have my cans in the refrigerator. Very important. They be cold. Very important. Enjoy the holidays, y'all. We love you. We love you down. We'll be back soon at the top of the year with new episodes of Holding Court. Meantime, though, stay safe, stay healthy. Dustin Ross, what would you like the people to do in the meantime?
Read your terms and conditions, especially on the receipts that you have used to take back the Christmas gifts you did not want. We'll see y'all next year.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.